Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more Scrap Mechanic. And there is a prototype vehicle that I've been working on that I'd like to share with you guys because I think it's a pretty fun concept. So the whole idea, I call this the hopper, and it just has a bunch of these suspension pieces here, and then the little feet, which I think is required from my testing. I believe the suspension doesn't really work without something below it to work off of. And then, other than that, it just has some of these thrusters. And we have a number to give us upward thrust, which is the more important element here. And then we have some that are set up to give us our directional steering. And then we have the rear thrust. So how this works, if we remove the lift here and hop into the seat, I'll go ahead and show you how it's all wired up first, though. And what I've done is I've set up a few buttons here. So the rear thrust here is actually linked up to the control, and then the buttons are linked up to the steering controls as well. And then the different thrusters are connected to the buttons. So our upward thrust is connected to button 1, and then we have some of these side thrusters connected to 2 and 3. So if I demonstrate how that works, so 1's going to lift us up, and I have this thing's balanced so that it will not go in any particular direction. If you don't balance the weight, you will have an issue. Now 2 and 3 are for turning, so 2 will turn to the left, and 3 will turn to the right. And then if we hit forward, we get our forward thrust. So it just meant to have these little hops, hence the hopper name, and then the suspension bounces us along. So it's kind of a fun concept that I came up with, and I really enjoy it. So you kind of do these short hops. Now there's a little bit of an issue in the game, just due to its rough nature at the moment, still being in early access. So if I lift up really high, and then let myself drop, oftentimes what happens is that the game doesn't handle the falls very well. It looks like this time it worked. So let's see. Yeah, okay. So occasionally what will happen is if you have a really hard impact, the suspension, or at least the feet on the suspension, will actually clip through the ground and you'll get stuck. So that happens occasionally, and it may happen to us when we're moving around here. Now you can fly this like a flying craft, but eventually, because I haven't really balanced the forward thrust very well, it will start to tip over. Oh, I think we just had an event where it didn't land right. So I'm trying to give the upward thrust, and nothing is happening. So if I hop off here, you might be able to see. It looks like, see this suspension piece right here, and right here and here. They've all clipped through the ground, and now that everything is, stopped moving, the vehicle is stuck, more or less. I can't lift it out because the ground is preventing the pieces that are stuck within it from coming out. So all you need to do to fix that is just grab your lift, grab the hovercraft, and then place it somewhere else, and it should be fine. And then just get rid of your lift, and you're ready to go. So there's some issues with it still, but for the most part, it works. And I just have a lot of fun with it. It's a pretty fun concept, and it is pretty maneuverable, surprisingly. Now, maybe the side thrust is a little bit too much. As you saw there, I only pressed it for a second, and it really spun me around. And the other thing is, once you lift up, as soon as you start that momentum, you're just going to keep spinning. So if you want to do just a short directional change, just hop up a little bit and adjust it like so. So when I wired the 2 and 3 button, more or less, you have, if you look closely at which thrusters are firing. So as I'm doing 2, we have the right upper corner and the left rear corner firing to rotate me to the left there. And when I hit number 3, it's rotating me to the right with the reverse thrusters firing. So pretty simple. You can steer in flight if you want. But as I said, you have to be careful. If you hit a direction, you might have to counter that movement with the I think we just hit a tree there. Let ourselves right. So if you're spinning, you might have to counter it with the opposite thrust. Now, I would love to make something that would be a true flying machine, but I think the controls would be a little bit too complicated because, as they are, I'm already having to use 4 buttons, 3 of them being number keys, just to get the thing to work. Now, in the future, if you were able to keybind the left and right direction to the normal WASD controls, that would be nice, and it would make things a little bit simpler. But in its current state, that's not how it works. And we also have to be mindful that we don't flip ourselves over like that. But again, easily righted. Now, the problem is I oftentimes get stuck in the suspension and I can't move. But there, we were able to get out. So it's a pretty simple concept, and there's things that I could do to expand upon this idea. For instance, I thought about this after I was done building it, and it might be neat if rather than having these feet here, and I could lop those off and put wheels down instead, and that way I could actually move around on the ground without actually having to lift off, and only really use the lift off when I need it. But I feel like that kind of defeats the gimmick of the hopping vehicle, where you literally have to hop around to move. I kind of like that concept. So that's the whole idea behind this vehicle. It's very simple to build. And I think it's honestly a lot of fun to move around with it. And you get to see the guy get really thrashed by the impacts. So that's a little bit of fun too. But in any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and enjoyed the kind of fun concept of the hopper that I have here. I think it's a little bit outside the box. Ooh, there we go. Getting over the a hill can take a little bit of patience. As I said, I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.